on This is the CHL, hanging out with 2014 MasterCard Memorial Cup host team, the Quebec Remparts, checking in with CHL alum on the Tampa Bay Lightning, and a CIS goalie playing for a cause.
Hello CHL fans, welcome back to another edition of This is the CHL. I'm Sam Cosentino. We've got another jam-packed show lined up for you today. We'll take a look at a former CHL grad now playing goal at the University of Guelph. We'll stroll down memory lane with a couple of former CHLers now playing in the sunny south. We'll also take a look back at the 2006 MasterCard Memorial Cup Championship game pitting coaches Patrick Waugh against Ted Nolan. But first, let's take you out to the host site of the 2016 MasterCard Memorial Cup, Quebec City, and check in with the Remparts.
I shall put God's gift to good use. That is the motto the city of Quebec is defined by. Over 400 years ago, Samuel de Champlain's ship sailed up the St. Lawrence River and founded what has become one of North America's most beautiful cities. Is it possible Champlain envisioned the incredible metropolis that has developed over the centuries? Did he ever imagine the growth of a culture that the Quebecois have fought to protect for hundreds of years? One thing we can be sure of, Champlain couldn't have predicted the importance the game of hockey would play in the hearts of French Canadians. In the case of the Quebec Remparts, they are a team whose destiny is slightly predictable, as they will host the 2015 MasterCard Memorial Cup. They're fast, they're talented, and they have great goaltending. Just like Samuel de Champlain, the Remparts can't predict what the future will bring, but they do have a vision. That vision is to win the cup on home soil and to etch another milestone in the city's rich history of greatness. Nearly 95% of Quebec City residents speak French only. The billets for Ryan Graves and Dmytro Timashov speak some English, but neither hockey player is from La Belle Province.
I was in PEI, and it's an English environment, and then I went to Val d'Or, which is an extremely French environment, and then coming here is kind of like an in-between. I mean, the city's very bilingual. When I first got traded here, they told me I was going to live with a guy from Sweden, and I mean, you don't really know what to expect with someone from a different country, and it's nice to have someone to drive with all the time, because I mean, with traffic sometimes you're over half an hour getting to the rink.
Here we are French. We talk in French most of the time, but when the guys are here, we have a rule to only speak English. And that's perfect because the kids go at the English school, so they can talk together, and that's really good.
Of course, my biggest dream is to play in NHL, and it's a lot of work to do, and you have to work every day and every night on the game. You have to improve what you're good in, and I miss home really much, of course, and my mom and my family. The Swedish food, I miss it really much, but just work every day, do your best.
After breakfast, it's time to hit the road for morning skate before tonight's game versus the Moncton Wildcats. The Remparts' practices are fast. There's a lot of talent on this team. Perhaps the most recognized figure is Anthony Duclair. The 19-year-old forward started the year with the New York Rangers before eventually returning to the Remparts in January.
It's a different lifestyle there up in the pros, and I mean, just living by yourself. You know, I was lucky enough to have another rookie with me, with Kevin Hayes, and I was rooming with him. But I mean, you just gotta take a matter into your own hands. I mean, you're not living with a billet family anymore. You're living by yourself. So, I mean, things like cooking, cleaning and stuff like that. You gotta learn on the spot really. And when it comes to hockey, I mean, you just gotta bring your 110% every day. I mean, you can't take anything for granted, especially in that league. So that's for sure.
Duclair could have chosen to play hockey anywhere, but the CHL offered him everything he needed to develop into a fine young man.
I got drafted by such a unique organization like Quebec. I think really opened up my eyes. I think the main thing was school. I think school is very important in my family, very important to my dad, and I wanted to make sure I was getting the best of both worlds, and I got that in Quebec. So I talked to Patrick Roy after he drafted me, and you know, for a 15-year-old to meet Patrick Roy for the first time, you know, it's a little starstruck, but at the same time, to get coached by him for 2 years, I think it was pretty special. And the reason why you know, I made the NHL at 19 is because I learned a lot from him, and you know, I'm very thankful.
Adam Erne is a 19-year-old forward hailing from Connecticut. After weekend morning skates, he and some of his teammates like to go out for breakfast together.
Well, I played in the USHL when I was 15, and you know, from there it's all promotion to go to college and whatnot. I hadn't really thought about going to the CHL at all, and then I got a call from Patrick Roy, and he wanted me to come up to Canada and check it out, and so I did. I think he did most of the talking for the most part, but at the same time it was pretty surreal, pretty crazy, but you know, he's a pretty persuasive guy.
There were lots of reasons for the American to choose the CHL over NCAA hockey.
I think the most thing that went into the decision was that, you know, here you play 68 games plus playoffs. In college you play only 30, and you know, I got a chance to go up at 16 rather than go to college at 18 or 19. So I mean, I think you know, for the most part it was just I wanted to play more hockey.
A mid-season trade with the Halifax Moosehead brought Zach Fucale to Quebec, and with him came a MasterCard Memorial Cup ring, a World Junior gold medal, and a level of professionalism that speaks volumes about his understanding of the game.
It's been an awesome ride, you know, this whole time. I mean, I was really happy and lucky to be on some awesome teams in the past in Halifax, and you know, I played with some great players and was very well coached and all that. So, I mean, I was really privileged to be playing on awesome teams, and you know, every year we go to training camp and we work for 68 games and come to practice every day, and that's to win the playoffs. And there's no better feeling to play 4 rounds of hockey as a team, and guys in the NHL, guys in junior will tell you how special and how awesome playoffs are. And you know, that's really the goal right now. I'm pretty sure, yeah, there's the Memorial Cup here and it's going to happen. However, there's the playoffs, and that's what we're playing for, and that's the big challenge, and I think that'll help us prepare for that big tournament in the end. But for me, I'm not really worried about it. I really want to play those playoffs all the way through, and you know, it's happened once, and I have to say that it was an awesome ride, and I really want to accomplish that once again. I mean, as a team here, it could be really, really special to win those playoffs. So that's what we're playing for.
With the arrival of the Moncton Wildcats, game time is right around the corner. Once the game starts, the pace is fast, as the two teams could be the most talented in the league. Unfortunately for Callum Booth, a top-rated goalie in this year's NHL draft, an injury keeps him sidelined from the roster. But his decision to come to Quebec is one that must be told.
Patrick Roy asked for a meeting, and I said, the chance to meet Patrick Roy, well, why not go have a meeting? And walked into the restaurant with my family, and he was sitting there with somebody else, and he came up and introduced ourselves, and he said, "Hi, I'm Patrick," which was something really special, just getting the opportunity to meet him, and then said, what are your plans for next year? Like, if you came to Quebec, what are your plans? And I said, I want to come and have fun and play some hockey and do well and help the team win. He's like, no, you want to come here, you want to play every single game, you want to win every single game, and that's what you're going to do, which was something pretty cool, him telling me that, yeah.
The Wildcats go on to win this game 3-2. The Remparts are guaranteed a spot in this year's MasterCard Memorial Cup, but they still want to win the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League title. The Remparts are fast, they're skilled, and they have the most experienced goalie in the CHL. It appears as though they will be putting all of God's gifts to good use. After the break, we'll introduce you to Andrew D'Agostini, a former Peterborough Pete whose charitable cause has earned over $30,000 for the fight against cystic fibrosis.
Welcome back. Andrew D'Agostini was known as a model citizen during his CHL career with the Peterborough Petes. He's now taken his act to the University of Guelph, balancing school with several charitable works.
The Canadian Hockey League is about more than just developing hockey players. It's about developing good young men who will contribute back to the community after their hockey goals are achieved. Andrew D'Agostini is a CHL graduate who played 5 seasons with the Ontario Hockey League's Peterborough Petes. Since then, he's moved on to CIS hockey, where he tends the twine for the Guelph Gryphons.
I got myself involved in the community right away and really just loved every experience about the OHL, what they had to offer. Practicing every day, moving away from home and becoming individual in that way and having that experience.
While there's no disputing the impact he had on the ice, this story is about the impact he had off the ice. It began back in November of 2011 when he met a family whose son was battling cystic fibrosis. The chance meeting changed D'Agostini's life forever.
Anthony's mom, Tracy, came to our dressing room to tell us about a cystic fibrosis night that we were having for the charity and to raise awareness. And the story really hit home for a lot of us, telling us what Anthony went through as a young boy and how it affected him in so many ways, whether it was missing school for months at a time or traveling to sick kids when he should be home playing with Lego or playing video games. He was too shy to come out and meet us, but he wanted to meet some of the familiar names he remembered from hearing on the radio, and I was one of them. So I went out and introduced myself to him, and I felt a connection to him and to his mom and just a warm feeling that this was the right cause to get involved with.
D'Agostini started a fundraising campaign which saw the team and local businesses donate $1 per save made. Raising money for cystic fibrosis turned into an ongoing cause for the 21-year-old, as this year he continued the campaign with the University of Guelph. Overall, it has totaled close to $30,000.
I'd love to, sooner than later, find a cure for cystic fibrosis, and I'm going to help do that in any way possible. The encouraging thing about it is it's come a long way. The funds, the money raised, they've come up with a pill that's almost as good as a cure for a specific genetic type of CF. Not Anthony's type, but that means that it's right around the corner. So
D'Agostini's commitment to the cause and positive attitude around the team comes as no surprise for Gryphons coach Sean Camp.
He's a great role model for kids in our community because he's the whole package. Really good student, hard worker, personality plus, and he's inclusive with all of his teammates. He never excludes anybody from getting involved. The fact that the CHL offers the opportunity for guys to go to school, have their schooling paid for while they're here, is incredible. We're so appreciative of that because it allows them to get their degree, and for some of them who want to play pro when they're done, they get their degree first, and they can use their degree as an insurance policy at the end of their career. And it's a wonderful opportunity for all of them to get a university education, enjoy the university experience, the time that they have at school, and also to study something that they really develop a passion for, that'll carry them the rest of their life.
Andrew D'Agostini is the perfect example of the Canadian Hockey League's commitment to developing young leaders for tomorrow while giving back to the community today. When we return, we'll chat with Steven Stamkos and a handful of other former CHL stars skating for the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Ask any CHL player what their dream would be, and of course they would tell you to play in the National Hockey League. But what would it be like to play for the Tampa Bay Lightning? These 4 CHL grads tell us all about it.
The American League, here comes Steven Stamkos.
Tampa Bay Lightning forward Steven Stamkos didn't evolve into an NHL superstar overnight. No, the Markham, Ontario native honed his game by outworking his opponents night in and night out. It's a lesson his dad taught him when he was a kid, and one he carried with him to the Ontario Hockey League when he was 16 years old. Stamkos spent 2 seasons in Major Junior after being the first overall selection in the 2006 OHL draft by the Sarnia Sting. He immediately tore up the stat sheets, potting 42 goals in his rookie year. Stamkos' skills were undeniable, and the path he chose to the NHL was clearly the right one.
You know, the OHL was something that I discussed a lot with especially my parents, whether to go the college route or go to the OHL, and I thought that was going to give me the best opportunity to develop and play that pro-style game. And obviously when I did get drafted to Sarnia, I was very excited about that opportunity to go down there. It was a couple-hour drive from home, so my parents got to see me play and had a great time.
Racking up 197 points in 124 career games, Stamkos developed into a CHL All-Star and was the game's top prospect 2 years later. The Lightning felt the same way and scooped him up with the first pick in 2008. Although still a teenager, he finished 5th in rookie scoring and was an impact player, an opportunity made possible by his development in Sarnia.
You're playing a similar schedule, you're on the road. It's just a little different atmosphere, I think, than going to college. So for me, I think that was the best decision, and it's worked out.
It also worked out for Stamkos' teammate Ryan Callahan, who watched a lot of OHL games growing up. When the time came for the native of Rochester, New York to decide where he would play his junior hockey, he packed his bags and moved to Canada to join the Guelph Storm at 17.
It was tough, it was hard, moving away from home for the first time, but luckily I landed with good billets, and they took me right in and made me feel like I was at home, and my parents came up and visited a lot, but without that support from the billets, I wouldn't have been able to make it.
Callahan played 4 seasons in Guelph, leading his team in scoring in 2 of them. The American even broke the 50-goal plateau in his final year, but none of his individual accomplishments are as memorable as the 2004 season in which the Storm won the Ontario Hockey League Championship.
That 1 year and then going to the Mem Cup, that whole year was enjoyable. We had a good team, we were winning, and then ultimately won the OHL.
While Callahan and Stamkos are offensive leaders for the Lightning, a pair of young wingers are being counted on to help carry the load. One such winger is 22-year-old Brett Connolly. A highly rated prospect from Prince George, British Columbia, the 2010 first-round pick was a star in the Western Hockey League. He played 3 seasons with his hometown Cougars, recording 86 goals and 152 points along the way.
I was fortunate enough to get drafted by Prince George, and the Western Hockey League was where I wanted to play, and obviously it was the best thing for me, and Prince George was a great place to play and a great place to kickstart my career.
Connolly hit the ground running in his first season with Prince George, earning himself the 2009 CHL Rookie of the Year award with a balanced 30 goals and 30 assists. But he found another level in his final year with the Cougars, finishing among the WHL leaders with 46 goals in just 59 games.
The guys that play in the league have to be mentally strong. Obviously, you learn that as you get older. Once you come in as a 16-year-old, it's a little eye-opener. It's like a little mini professional league and helps a lot of guys get to where they are today.
Fellow first-rounder Jonathan Drouin was even more dominant during his time in the CHL, averaging nearly 2 points per game over 3 seasons in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. He joined names such as Crosby and Lemieux by winning both the QMJHL MVP and CHL MVP in the same season. But more importantly for the Quebec native, he, along with star teammate Nathan McKinnon, propelled the Halifax Mooseheads to a Memorial Cup championship in 2013.
It's a hard trophy to win. You got to beat everyone in their respective league, and that was one of the biggest trophies I've won so far, and probably the biggest moment when I played in Halifax.
Though the soon-to-be 20-year-old is still a Lightning rookie, he's thrilled to be playing on hockey's biggest stage. But Drouin affirms it was his development in the Q which put him on the fast track to the NHL.
Oh, it's unbelievable. It gets you ready for the NHL life a little bit. Again, Halifax is a great city for junior hockey, and it was one of the best choices I've made in my life.
Around the corner, we'll relive the 2006 MasterCard Memorial Cup featuring the Quebec Remparts and the Moncton Wildcats.
The big storyline surrounding the 2006 MasterCard Memorial Cup were the coaches involved. You had the legendary Dick Todd coaching the Peterborough Petes, Don Hay with the Vancouver Giants, Ted Nolan with the Moncton Wildcats, and in his rookie year, Patrick Waugh with the Quebec Remparts. As it came down to the championship game, the Moncton Wildcats had won the President's Cup, but were they going to be able to get by Patrick Waugh and the Remparts in the MasterCard Memorial Cup championship game?
The Moncton Wildcats, the third straight host team to reach the Memorial Cup final.
Bartulis, the third-round selection of the Philadelphia Flyers, turned it over. Radulov, backhander, he scores! Alexander Radulov's second point of the day. Radulov winds it up. Radulov into the zone. Played it in front, off a skate and in. His third point of the day, second goal, and now it's 3-0. Radulov in transition. Radulov can't beat the combination of McDonald and Bourdon that time. Marchand the other way, just onside at the line. Marchand in front, Goulet the tip. Desjardins stopped that too. They go end-to-end. Joey Ryan. Radulov has a man open, found him. They score! Angelo Esposito's first of the tournament. And it's 4-0 Rempart.
Peter Brad Marchand has been the best player in this tournament for the Moncton Wildcats, and it's an ironic situation because he already knows that next year he will not be with the Wildcats. Part of the deal to bring Luc Bourdon over from Val d'Or, that's where he will play next year.
See if they get some more traffic than they did late in the period with the same two-man advantage.
Definitely needed.
Here's Pino. Yandel returns the fever, a blast. It's wide side of the net. Desjardins had lost his balance for a second. The pass off Vlasic. How impressive has number 44 been? Yandel, he scores! A rocket from the American-born Yandel. Led by a rookie coach named Waugh, the Rempart rain on the Moncton Wildcats parade and win the MasterCard Memorial Cup. Patrick Waugh in his first year as head coach, he took over 6 games in from Eric Levine and guides Quebec to the title. He's won 4 Stanley Cups, a Calder Cup, and it would be interesting at how this one ranks for him.
Just like that, another show was in the books. I'm Sam Cosentino. Be sure to join us next time for another snappy edition of This is the CHL.